So I may not have held up my promise. I did not get 2 videos out last week, but I have a second video in like 4 days, I think. I'm trying here. I got a little caught up in school and was kind of lazy over the weekend. So today I got my NFL honors or NFL awards predictions. Last year I did them. I don't think I was close. I think I got Justin Jefferson right, and that was it. But for this, I'm going to try and I'm going to do my predictions, not doing all the chalk picks, not doing all the boring picks. I'm going to try and keep it interesting. I'm not going to pick like Patrick Mahomes for MVP or Andy Reid for Coach of the Year, stuff like that, because that's boring. You got to add some variety here. So here are my 2023 NFL honors predictions. So first we have comeback player of the year, and my pick is Damar Hamlin. Obviously, I don't think anybody else is going to win this award. This guy died on the field and came back. It's insane to even think about someone going through that experience and still wanting to come back and play. If he plays one snap this season, he's going to win this award. But other than Damar Hamlin, I have some honorable mentions, which are John Mechie and Foster Moreau. John Mechie was diagnosed with leukemia last season and missed the whole year. He's also coming back to play this year as well. Foster Moreau was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in the offseason, but luckily they caught it early, so he is also able to return to the field this year. These viruses are nothing to brush off, and they take a pretty big hit on your body, and it's even more notable because these players take a lot of wear and tear throughout the season. Big props to these guys for fighting through a potentially life-threatening circumstance and getting back onto the field. Whether or not any of these guys are to win this award, they definitely deserve some acknowledgement regardless. Next up, we have Coach of the Year, and my pick is Dan Campbell. There aren't any coaches that I'm really comfortable picking for this award. The thing is with this award is that when a coach takes a bad team and significantly improves them, they'll win the award, which is why you don't see Andy Reid, Sean McDermott, or Mike Tomlin winning these awards, because their teams are always good. So when I pick Dan Campbell, it's kind of a carryover from last year, which shouldn't really count. But if they continue on their run from last season, he will be Coach of the Year. He will be the guy who finally got the Lions back to the playoffs, which is something worth noting in itself. But the next best pick I could think of was Sean Payton. The Broncos are one of those teams that can go from really bad to really good in a season due to Sean Payton being an offensive genius, which was their main problem last year. They went 5-12 last year, so there's basically nowhere for them to go but up. So Sean Payton has a pretty good chance at winning this award as well. Next, we have Offensive Rookie of the Year, and my pick is Bijan Robinson. This is probably the only chalk pick that I'm going to make. I don't see how anybody else can get it. He's the most hyped up prospect at the running back position we've had in a while. He's being thrown into an offense who runs the ball 55% of the time, and despite that, he still has an upside in the passing game. There just aren't many scenarios that are better for an offensive rookie this season. But if it's not Bijan, it'll be Jordan Addison. The last 2 winners of the Offensive Rookie of the Year award have been wide receivers. The league has been becoming more of a wide receiver / pass heavy league for the last few seasons. So when you put Jordan Addison, someone who could arguably be a number 1 for some teams in the future, on the other side of one of, if not the best wide receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson, you should expect to see some big numbers. The Vikings offense have been top 15 in receiving yards for the past 3 seasons and have been improving with each single year. The wide receiver 2 in Minnesota has averaged 70 receptions, 789 yards, and 9 touchdowns over those 3 seasons. So if Addison can improve upon the numbers of an aging Adam Thielen, he is in a great position to win this award. Next up is Defensive Rookie of the Year, and my pick is Tyree Wilson. Wilson is finally coming back to practicing and getting past his injury, so now he's going to be featured in a pass rush that includes Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. Chandler didn't look like his usual self last season, but Max Crosby continues to be one of the best defensive players in the league. Crosby's bound to see a lot of double teams this year since he's been among the top 10 in pressures in the last 2 seasons. Wilson should see a lot of opportunities open up for him this season, and he has 2 great mentors to learn from. But an honorable mention, if it's not Tyree Wilson, is Devin Witherspoon. The Seahawks defense sucked last year, but that was mostly on the ground where they were bottom of the barrel. But for passing, they were around middle of the pack. They look like they're kind of forming a bit of a Legion of Boom 2.0, adding Devin Witherspoon to a defense with 2022 Pro Bowlers Tariq Woolen and Quandre Diggs, as well as Jamal Adams, who hopefully can stay healthy this year. But he's in a similar situation to Tyree Wilson. He's going to benefit from great players around him. Next up is Offensive Player of the Year, and my pick is Garrett Wilson. Last year, we saw Garrett Wilson have an Offensive Rookie of the Year season with quarterbacks Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White. This year, he has 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. We've seen a sneak peek in the preseason of what this connection is going to look like, and I can see this leading into an Offensive Player of the Year campaign for Garrett Wilson. But staying in the AFC East for the Offensive Player of the Year, my runner-up is Tyreek Hill. Hill had his career highs in targets, receptions, and yards in his first year without Patrick Mahomes, which was an injury-riddled season with Tua that was cut short due to concussion issues. If Tua can stay healthy this season, I can see Tyreek having a pretty explosive year this season. Tua has been learning to follow a little better at doing jiu-jitsu in the offseason, so hopefully that comes into fruition and we see a full season with these. Next up, we have Defensive Player of the Year, and my pick is Max Crosby. Now, I don't really want to do both Tyree Wilson and Max Crosby to win awards in the same video, but I just can't help myself with this one. Crosby had 12.5 sacks last season, which was tied for 8th in the league, the second most tackles by a defensive lineman, the second most pressures in the league entirely. He's been improving every single year as well, and if Tyree Wilson or Chandler Jones can take some pressure off of him this year, he could win Defensive Player of the Year, but being a Raider also makes that challenging. And for my honorable mention, I have Micah Parsons. I picked him last year and he let me down, but the dude can literally do anything. Rush, tackle, cover, you name it, Parsons can do it. He is my runner-up. That's basically it. Now we have the big dog of the awards, the MVP, and my pick is Trevor Lawrence. Everybody who watches my videos know that I am so high on the Jaguars this year. That's just a fact. I think T-Law is going to be the next great young AFC quarterback. He already showed it last year when he took a step forward, but I think he's going to take a leap this year. His offense proved a lot of people wrong last year when Christian Kirk proved his contract isn't as bad as we thought. Zay Jones and Evan Ingram revived their careers, and there was no Urban Meyer to hold them back. Add Calvin Ridley to the mix, a proven wide receiver one, and this offense is going to be elite. In the second year with Doug Peterson, I see Trevor Lawrence showing why he was a highly touted number 1 overall pick and wins an MVP in his 3rd season. But my honorable mention is last year's pick, Justin Herbert. My pick from last year and personal favorite quarterback in the league. Some bias is definitely shining through here, but hear me out. He has a better offensive coordinator this year who's going to let him sling it. He has a new rookie weapon who should fill in for the likely, but hopefully not, injuries to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and arguably the best receiving back in the NFL in Austin Eckler. Herbert should have no problem putting up numbers this year. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Sorry I didn't get my video out last week like I said I would, but week 1 is finally upon us. If you haven't watched my week 1 record predictions, it'll be in the description below. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.